Everybody, Thomas here. So, hickory, not one of my most enjoyable woods to cut, but it is very pretty. It looks very much like pecan. If you've never cut hickory before, it also smells really good while you're cutting it. I do enjoy the smell of it and the look of it. However, it is very tough to cut. Now, this is the log that came off our property in Tennessee, like most of our logs do. The center looks good. I've got a little bit of deterioration around the edges here. Not too bad. This log has probably been down for a year or two, something like that. I've gone through and I've tried to remove as much bark as possible, just because when we were dragging this log out a few months back up in Tennessee out of the woods, we got all this dirt and debris in the bark. So I'm going to scoot this over kind of close to where she is now. So my first cut will be without any bark, and then we'll turn it probably 180 and kind of go from there. Right now this is cut at 14 foot 2 inches. The end product for this is for me. This is a log for me. This is going to be something interesting inside the wood shop I'm building. The center post inside the building, I want it to look really good, and it's going to kind of hold up a loft and a few other things, but I want a very strong structural piece. And I'm like, well, I've got this long hickory log, let's go ahead and cut hickory. So I'm gonna make a 6x6, 14 foot long. This will be in the center of the shop, kind of holding up the front section of the loft. I think it'll be fun. It's gonna be very hard to attach anything to it because it's hickory, but it'll be something unique, and I plan to do stuff like that all throughout my shop. So in the distance behind, that's again the shop there. This weekend we should be getting the stud walls up and going from there. Tommy's swinging around his hatchet, so hopefully he'll be a little bit careful there. But long story short, that's what we're working on today. I do have some people coming over, so I'm going to throw in a time lapse of me cutting, and then I'll show you kind of the end product here, because I don't know when they're going to be here and I don't want to have to stop the video. All right, we'll see. Okay, so it's actually been a few hours since I cut this. Had some people come over, got some wood. Mr. Robert came over, we talked for a bit and everything. But getting back to this hickory log here. Now I know in the beginning of the video I said a 6x6. But I've got my own sawmill. I can do whatever I want. This building I'm doing is completely custom. Why would I restrain myself or restrict myself to a 6x6 camp? I said, you know what, I'm going to make it essentially the size of what the railroad tie is underneath. That would be a 9x7, I believe. So right now I'm at 9x8, and I've let this dry a little bit so I can get kind of a better feel for what it's going to look like. It does have a check on this side, but again, this is hickory. There's plenty of mass there. I'm not too worried about that. The color looks great, and you can see it's pretty looking. It's got some knots and some textures. Again, if you've never cut hickory, I suggest trying to cut some hickory. It's very similar to pecan. The smell is a very sweet smell, in my opinion. I like the smell of hickory. I like the smell of pecan, but this is actually pretty. It is very hard to cut though. It's very heavy, so take it with a grain of salt. I mean, a lot of folks don't like to cut hickory, just like I don't like to cut live oak. So down here at this end, I'm going to take 1 more inch down because I'm an 8x9 right now. I'm going to take 1 more inch down. That'll get off some of this bark right here. I went through and removed most of the other bark, and I'm okay with having a little bit of a live edge look to it. I think that'll actually look okay. And again, this is at just over 14 foot long. It's going to go into the center there. It'll be kind of a centerpiece. I do have some other hickory over there, and I might actually make some other beam portions that tie into this. So again, this is just a me thing. I'm going to leave it at kind of a large shape. So I'm going to take one more cut off of this. That'll get me down to my 9x7, and that top board, which is actually going to work out perfect. I actually like a little bit of live edge stuff like that for cutting boards. So I can actually make this into some cutting boards, and that's kind of what I was playing into when I was cutting up this wood down here. So this one right here is I just stood up. That's like an inch and just under a quarter. It's like an inch and an eighth or so. And the one here as well, I cut that one a little bit thicker. I do have some live edge section right there, but I can incorporate that into some type of cutting board I'm going to make. And I'll do a video at some point where I show how to reuse a scrap board, excuse me, that essentially might be what you consider like a throwaway board, a board that you throw into the fire or something else. And I can show you how I can turn this one board right here into over $100, making about 3 or 4 cutting boards out of it. So that'll be another video at some other point, and I'll have to come back to that. But for today, let's go ahead and do the final cut on this hickory. And I'll cut this one without a time lapse and everything, so you can see how slow I'm cutting this. I think I've got enough water. I gotta see the blades tension up, out to see. But let's go ahead and start this thing up, and we'll get it going. Okay, I've got the camera set up. Go ahead and crank this up, and then we'll run through it. when I actually measured it, it wasn't exactly 8 inches. It was 7 7/8. But I went ahead and still cut it to the 7-inch mark. I can actually make spatulas out of this. This is, 7/8 of an inch roughly. I mean, it's probably a little bit like that. I can make spatulas out of this that will be very stout. Or I can make, I don't know, I can make some out of it. I'm not too worried about that. But, yeah, so hickory is going to be very heavy. I don't have any other way to put that. It's going to be very heavy in the shop, but I think it'll be a really unique touch. And since I have my own sawmill and I'm cutting whatever I want, I think this is going to look cool. It'll be a neat piece that'll stand out. The way I intend to have this is this will be the centerpiece of the shop. Going up into the loft or anything, you'll see it right away. But I'm also going to have some of my electrical conduit coming down the sides of this. But who could say they've got a hickory 7x9, 14-foot long post in the center of their shop? Well, soon, hopefully I can. Hope this has been fun. I'm always trying to cut something new and different and go do new things in the sawmill, and on the farm. I've got to get some videos put together on milking of the goats and everything. We've sold a lot of goats this year. We're down to about 5 does and 2 bucks. One of those bucks is still going to be sold here shortly. But that's manageable for our herd. Again, please like, subscribe if you enjoy the channel, and if you got any questions or comments, don't be shy. Please ask. I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. And this is about it. Happy Memorial Day to everybody, and please remember those who have fallen. That's what Memorial Day is all about. And on Monday, I'll be out there with my family, working here on the farm, and then we might go fishing. All right, see you around. Thanks.